Tony loves his baseball card, yeah, yeah. Tony loves his baseball card.
Hey everybody, welcome into episode 30 of my YouTube journey. I'm so glad you're with me. Yeah, this is not where I'm normally recording. I'm in a hotel room in Strongsville, Ohio. It's Thursday night. The show starts tomorrow. I can't wait to hang out with my buddies and look at some baseball cards, maybe grab one or two, I'm not sure. But I just grabbed a big one, and you'll see that at the end of this video. It's a massive one for me, and it's one that just makes my heart beat. I have bought some big items over the years. And this one, when I took it out of the box the other day, I was blown away. Like, I got goosebumps, felt chills, and you can say that's weird if you want, and I'll take it. But I'm just being honest. Holding something in my hand that Jackie Robinson signed that is that bold, and that guy, out of all the people, whether it's Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig would be somebody that might do that as well, or Mantle. I've got Mantle autographs. I've got some big ones, but that guy is the most heroic guy, in my opinion, in sports history. The things he did, the things he went through, the things he knew going in that was going to be hard, and he chose to do it anyways. And not only did he do it, but he succeeded. When you win the Rookie of the Year, when you're the only African American in the National League, and you're putting up with hate and vitriol and death threats and all the things he had to do, is pretty awesome. So we're going to talk about Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson, like I said, one of the most heroic guys. He was born in Cairo, Georgia in 1919, and that is as south as you can get on the Georgia-Florida line. It is 45 minutes north of Tallahassee. He was born to a poor family. They were sharecroppers. They were one generation removed from being slaves. His grandmother was actually a slave. His dad couldn't read or write. They lived on the old plantation where his grandmother used to toil as a slave, but they didn't get paid. His mother did most of the work, and his dad was kind of a deadbeat. And his mother did the working. She didn't get paid for her labors. Instead, she got paid in food. So she did odd and end tasks around sometimes to get money, but that's how they lived. It was a small little house, and she was a single mom. After Jackie was born, his dad left and ran off with another lady. So Jackie was 16 months old. First, he was the youngest of 5. He was 16 months old. His mother decided to pack the kids on a train and move them to California. Her half-brother had moved out there and had sent a letter saying it was great there. And so, sight unseen, she took off for greener pastures and maybe a better life. She wanted to leave that life behind. She was a very strong woman. She was a woman of character and dignity, and she had beliefs. And even though they lived in a world where the color of their skin sometimes defined what they could do, where they could work, and things like that, she wanted to make sure her kids knew the number one thing with them was living a life of dignity and respect. And don't take no for an answer. Always reach for more. So she moves them out there. They moved to Pasadena, California. So this would have been in 1920. Again, Jackie was 16 months old. That area of California at the time was thriving. Pasadena was a great place to live, not a lot of poverty. They were able to settle in 1922 in a white neighborhood, and they were able to buy a little plot of land on Pepper Street, and there was actually 2 houses there. And so her and her extended family all lived there. The census said there was 10 kids and 4 adults living on that property right there. So the neighbors didn't like them. They didn't want them to be there. But unlike the South, if you did something wrong, you could possibly get lynched. The KKK could burn a cross in your front yard. Those times were a lot more volatile in the South than they were in California. So there were still rules that they had to abide by, but it wasn't the same. In 1922, there in Pasadena, the Rose Bowl was built. So it was a sports crazed town. The kids could play sports all year round. They could be outside, unlike what it was in the South. And so Jackie thrived. He thrived, a little bit in the classroom, but mostly on the sports fields. His older brother, when he was 17 years old, his older brother, who was Jackie was 17, had went on to the University of Oregon on a track scholarship. His name was Mac. Mac made the Olympic team and went to Berlin in 1936 and ran in that famous Olympics where Jesse Owens won all the gold medals. His brother Mac actually won the silver medal in the 200-meter dash. So he was a freak athlete too. So that was Jackie. That was the genes that God gave him. He was a five-sport athlete in high school and was able to go to Pasadena Junior College and play 5 sports there. He ran track, he played basketball, played baseball, played football, and also even played some tennis. He was good enough in track that he set the national junior college record for the broad jump while he was there, breaking his brother's record. So he was a freak. Was an awesome football player, baseball, basketball. He was amazing at all of them. He got a scholarship and went to UCLA. One of his older brothers was killed in a motorcycle accident, and that made him want to stay close to home. It wasn't Mac, it was his other brother. He had saw firsthand that, even though you were held back, you could excel on the field and people would give you all the glory and everything else. But off the field, being a man of color, sometimes he was limited in what he could achieve. And his brother Mac was a prime example of that. He goes to the Berlin Olympics, wins a silver medal, comes back. They're the toast of the town. There's parades and all this other stuff. But after all that died down, the white guys went on to broadcasting. They were coaches. They were these things. The black guys were just left out. And so his brother ends up being a street sweeper and working the night shift. And on cold nights, he would wear his Olympic jacket. So that was the world they lived in. So Jackie's at UCLA. He becomes a national name when he's playing football. They have 4 guys that are black on the UCLA football team. That made them the most diverse team in NCAA football. That's insane to think about, but it's exactly what happened. There was a guy named Woody Strode and a guy named Kenny Washington, and then Jackie. They were the 3 stars on the team, and they got the nickname. They're all offensive guys. Woody Strode was a wide receiver. Kenny Washington was a running back, and Jackie was a halfback/quarterback. They got the nickname nationwide as the Gold Dust Trio. Jackie was a star on campus, but even then, this is in California, there were no black professors at UCLA. Black students weren't allowed to live in the village there around campus. They had to live off campus. They weren't allowed to work in the bookstores and things like that. But on the field, he was a star. Baseball only played 1 year. He didn't even play good. Basketball, he played really well and also played tennis, as we said. Did that for 2 years. While playing football, in 1939, they went undefeated. They had some ties. But he set the UCLA record that I think still stands today with a 12.2 yards per carry average. It may not ever be broken. And in 1939 and 1940, he led the NCAA in punt return yardage. So he didn't just play sports, he excelled at sports. Also, while he was there, he won I'm not sure if it was in 39 or 40 in track, he won the national title in the long jump. So he was a freak. So who he reminds me of is when I was growing up, when Bo Jackson won the Heisman Trophy at Auburn. Living in Nashville, we got Vanderbilt University there, and Bo Jackson decided, I'm going to play baseball for Auburn. And honestly, most people, including myself, I thought, well, they're just letting him play baseball because he's the Heisman Trophy winner and he'll draw a crowd and it'll be cool. I'm sure he's a good athlete, but how good could he be at baseball if he's that good at football? Well, we all saw what happened. Well, that's exactly what happens with Jackie, and I'll go into more detail on that in a minute. He drops out of college just shy of graduating. He met Rachel there, who became his wife, and what a wonderful lady she is. You talk about a lady of class. She's just beautiful, beautiful on the inside and outside. And she's still alive. She's over 100 years old. But he meets Rachel there. They fall in love, and anyways, they're together. He drops out. He goes to work at Cal Poly and is working there. He's coaching, and it's not really for him. That job ends. He's kind of bouncing around. Then the war hits. He goes into the Army, gets drafted after Pearl Harbor. So he's in the Army from 1942 to 1944. In 1942, he gets sent to Fort Bragg there in Texas. And while he's there, there's a few things that go down. Now, what I want to tell you is I want to give you a little bit of some background on who Jackie Robinson was as a man, because too many times the story of him being with the Dodgers overplays who he really was as a person and what he stood for. You hear the turn the other cheek thing. You think, well, he was kind of passive. He was just a guy that tried to get along. That is not who Jackie Robinson was. His mother, Mally, had taught him from a very early age, you do not let people disrespect you. You stand up for what you know is right, and for people that are disadvantaged. He had actually got arrested in junior college because a friend of his was arrested, and he stood up to the police officer because he thought he was being arrested unjustly because his friend was black by a white officer, and then he was arrested. It was later thrown out, but that was who he was. He was known as a hothead, but he would definitely stand up for himself. So he was on a bus there on Fort Bragg. He was on the property, and he was sitting in the middle of the bus, and he was sitting by a lady, and he was talking to her, and she was actually a fair-skinned black lady. The white bus driver had looked into his mirror and looked up and saw that, and stopped the bus, walked back there and told him he needed to move to the back, that he wasn't supposed to be talking to a white woman. And here's Jackie. He's not just a private, he's an officer, because he had college education. He had went to officer training, was one of the first black guys in World War II in the Army to be granted that. And so he comes out an officer. He outranks this guy who's talking to him, but it didn't matter because the guy was white. So the guy's treating him, bad. He's telling him to go to the back of the bus, and Jackie absolutely refuses. So this is in 1944. This is 11 years before Rosa Parks did it and got national headlines. Of course, Martin Luther King jumped on board, and that started what we call today, people standing up for people of color. So Jackie refuses. They get into it a little bit. No punches are thrown or anything like that. The bus driver goes back up, gets in the driver's seat, drives away. As he gets up to his next stop or at the end of the line, he reports Jackie. Jackie is then taken in for questioning. While he's in questioning, he feels like he's being taken advantage of because of his color. And he tells the guy questioning him, he says, where are you actually from anyways? And he's basically insinuating that the guy who's white is a racist. Then he gets written up for that. Also, while he was getting off the bus, he had a couple of choice words for the bus driver. I'm not sure whether, from what it was said, it must have been a cuss word. I don't know. But he got written up for that. He has to go to court in a court-martial case. It gets thrown out because he tells his story. He tells the story about his grandmother was a slave, and she had taught him, because the bus driver called him the N-word, that what the N-word really meant, and he was not going to allow somebody to disrespect him in that way. So he stands up for himself. Later on, he tries to play baseball on the Fort Bragg baseball team, and they don't have a black team, but they're out there playing baseball. He goes up and wants to play, and the guy runs the team, tells him no. Jackie kind of gets into it with him. The guy tells him, go play on the colored team. Well, there's not a colored team. And Jackie gets into it. The guy threatens to hit him with a bat. Jackie says, go ahead and do it. And somebody steps in. Jackie leaves. This is how Jackie stood up for himself in that circumstance. Later on, they ask him to play on the football team. And he's the best football player, there. And he says, no, if you ain't gonna let me play baseball, I ain't playing football. So he stands up for himself in that way. When he's done in 44, He's not sure what he's going to do for work, and he had met a pastor of his local Methodist church back in Pasadena when he was growing up. He had joined a gang called the Pepper Street Gang, and it could have led him down the wrong road. This pastor stepped in. It was a good influence on him, kind of a father figure. Talked him into coming to church. Jackie became active there and ended up being a Sunday school teacher. And so that minister had become the president of Sam Houston State in Austin, Texas. He recruits Jackie to come be the athletic director and also be the basketball coach. So Jackie does that. One of the funny things is it talks about while he's the basketball coach there in exhibition games that don't count, if he wasn't happy with the way the guys were playing, he would he would put himself in the game and show them what he wanted them to do, and he would dominate. In fact, Jackie Robinson was a little under 6 foot tall. He was just shy of 200 pounds, just solid athlete. He could dunk a basketball. So when you look at Jackie in these old black and white films, you don't really realize the guy, again, he was more like Bo Jackson. He was a freak. He wasn't just a baseball player that grew up playing nothing but baseball. So during that time, the Monarchs, Kansas City Monarchs Negro League team, get in touch with him, and they want him to come play on their team. They got Satchel Paige. So in 1945, he signs a contract, his first pro baseball contract with the Negro League team, Kansas City Monarchs. He goes and plays for them. Now, during this time, I know he dealt with that racism at Fort Bragg, but now he's dealing with something he's never experienced before because they're touring around the South. He's in Mississippi. There's certain water fountains he can't drink out of. He's not allowed to go to bathrooms and all the other stuff that he's never experienced because his mother had took him out of that. So, the old story goes that they pull up at a gas station. They're filling up this huge tank. It has a double tanks on their bus, the Monarchs bus. They won't let them use the bathroom, and Jackie tells them to take the gas nozzles out of the tanks. Let's go. We're not buying gas here if we can't even use the gas station. And the gas station owner caved, told him to go ahead and use it. And so Jackie stood up for himself there as well. So while he's with the Monarchs, there's something else completely different going on. Branch Rickey has decided he is going to integrate his Brooklyn Dodgers team. And he has to be kind of stealthy about it. So what he does, he floats a rumor out there that he's going to start a Negro League team out of Brooklyn. And so because he does that, he's able to send scouts out to the Negro Leagues, scouting those teams. And in reality, it's subterfuge. He's actually scouting for his team, but he wants to do it without creating a big stir. So he does that. He's got these guys, and so they kind of narrow it down to Roy Campanella. They also narrow it down to Monty Irvin, Larry Dovey, and Newcomb. So those are and Jackie Robinson, of course. So there's certain box they want checked. Jackie checks all of them. So number one, he's a big name. He was a football star. He's a nationally known name from that. So that helps. Number two, he grew up in California playing on white teams with white guys. So he's used to playing on a team when it's integrated like that. That's not going to be a shock to his system. Number three, he's not a light-skinned guy. He's a dark-skinned guy. They want to make a statement like, this is what we're doing. You better get used to it. And number four, and the most important thing, he wasn't just a walkover guy. They knew his background. They knew he had been arrested a couple of times for standing up for himself and got out of it. But they knew he was a man of character. They knew he didn't drink. He didn't smoke. He was engaged at the time to Rachel, and he was a good man. So they were going to go with him. So Branch Rickey has him come to Brooklyn under the guise of the Negro League deal, and this is in August of 1945, and tells him his plan, that he wants to integrate his team, and they've chosen him. At that point, it gets a little heated in the office there because he kind of tests his mettle. And he says, what are you going to do? And it's the thing in the movie 42 with Harrison Ford playing Branch Rickey with the big bushy eyebrows. But this absolutely happened. There was witnesses there that recount the same story. He says, what are you going to do if somebody calls you the N-word and threatens to hit you or threatens you? What are you going to do? You can't do anything. I'm not going to allow you to do it. You cannot fight back. You can't talk back. The first year, you cannot do that. And Jackie, he's so mad. Jackie's book, he talks about he has his fist clenched behind him. He's about to start swinging on him. But he holds it back. He passes Ricky's test. And then he tells Ricky, he says, sounds like to me you want a guy that doesn't have any guts, that won't fight back. And Branch Rickey says, no, I want somebody with enough guts not to fight back. So that absolutely happened. And then at that point, Branch Rickey, he was a child of a Methodist preacher with Jackie's Methodist background. They're both Christians. And so Branch Rickey starts talking to him about Jesus Christ, talking about turning the other cheek. And that struck a chord with Jackie. And at that moment, Jackie thought he was confident enough in himself and confident enough in his abilities that he thought, I'm willing to take this role on. It was something he never dreamed he'd do. He was in his late 20s, and here he was about to get his shot to play Major League Baseball. So it was an exciting time for him. So he goes back home, tells Rachel. They get married over the winter. They've been married a couple of weeks when they got to leave Southern California for spring training. Now, here's when the stories I've told you, this is when this comes into play. Him and Rachel get on a flight. They go to the airport, first of all, and Jackie's mother, being a mother, she brings a shoebox of fried chicken and some vegetables and tells them to take it with them, and they refuse. Like, are you kidding me? We're not taking a shoebox of greasy fried chicken with us. People are going to be smelling that. They're going to think we're stupid and we're a bunch of country bumpkins and just playing up to a stereotype. There's no way we're doing that. And she said, take it. And she made them. So they get on the plane with their box of fried chicken in their luggage. They fly to New Orleans. They land in New Orleans. They got a layover for a little while. They try to eat at some restaurants. They're not allowed to. They can buy a sandwich at a restaurant, but they got to go sit outside to eat it. They refuse to do that. They're not going to be treated like second-class people. They eat their box of chicken. They're so thankful for it. They get on the next flight. They have to fly the short flight to Pensacola. And there they're going to change flights and fly all the way into Jacksonville, Florida. Someone's going to pick them up and drive them south to Daytona Beach to Sanford, where spring training is going to be held. When they try to catch their flight to Jacksonville, they are informed that it's oversold. And guess who gets kicked off the flight? Jackie and Rachel and a man that's a Mexican. So the people of color aren't allowed to make the next leg. Jackie explains to him, hey, I got to get there. Like, I'm supposed to be in spring training for the Brooklyn Dodgers. This is very important. Rachel's sitting there waiting for him to do like he's always done and just explode on somebody and go nuclear. He doesn't do it. He holds his tongue. He acts with respect. And the guy says, look, I can't do anything for you, but what we can do is give you a car and get you a transportation to the nearest, because it's nighttime by now, to the nearest hotel. So he gets in the car. The driver takes him to the nearest hotel, which is white. And they aren't allowed to stay there. The driver knows that. So he asks the bellboy, where can they stay here in Pensacola? And the bellboy tells him, well, there's a black family that owns a house nearby, and they usually rent out a room. You can go by there. So they go by there. It's 11 o'clock at night. They knock on the door. The people come to the door. It's a one-bedroom house. They offer them the room. Jackie and Rachel refuse, though. They don't want to put them out. So they just get the driver while he's still there to take them to the local bus station. They get on a Greyhound bus. They're going to make the 14-hour trip overnight, all the way into Jacksonville. So they get on the bus. They go all the way to the back, second row from the back, to the last row that actually reclines. The seats recline so they can get a little bit of sleep. The back row's up against the back of the bus, so you can't recline back there. They recline, get a little shut-eye. They go a few stops only to wake up to the driver standing over them and said, the back means, obviously a white guy, all the way in the back. So they have to get up, walk to the back row, and sit there where they can't recline. Jackie falls back asleep and Rachel cries. And it talks about in the book how at that moment, here they are, newlyweds. They are embarking on the biggest adventure of their life. They're so excited to take this challenge and to get going, and they're feeling so proud about themselves. And at that moment, Rachel's crying because her strong man of character, her husband who always stood up for himself and what was right, at that moment had his dignity stripped from him, and he had become a boy in the South. And that just crushed her. So they keep going. Takes them 14 hours to get to Jacksonville. They get to Jacksonville. He's a day late to spring training. They get down. He shows up at spring training. There's a mob of reporters. One of the reporters asked him, said, "What are you going to do, Jackie, if somebody throws at your head?" He said, "Duck." So it was that kind of stuff. At that point, Jackie Robinson is stepping into something. He might as well be the first man on the moon. But he quickly shows that he deserves to be there. But being there in Florida, some of the towns won't allow the Dodgers to even come play there because black people aren't allowed to play with white people. It's a law. So they aren't going to allow it. There's death threats made to him. He has to leave the family. Of course, he ain't staying at the team hotel. The black family he was living with was a doctor and his wife. They had to leave them and go move further north to Daytona Beach to get out of that area. So at that point, Jackie wondered what he was doing and should he just go back to California and give up. But he didn't. Stuck it out. He goes to Montreal. I know this is getting long-winded. I'm sorry. But he goes to Montreal, leads AAA Montreal because they send him to the minor leagues instead, just to give him a year under his belt, not to rush him into it. He goes to Montreal, leads the league in average and runs scored, and helps Montreal Royals to a championship. Goes back home. He knows next year he's going to be going to spring training. Branch Rickey takes spring training out of Florida and moves it to Havana, Cuba, where it's going to be a little friendlier because now it's going to be Don Newcomb. It's going to have Roy Campanella, Jackie, and another player, I can't remember his name, was going to be there. He thought it'd be easier on them. So they go down there. They're staying in the slums, the black players. They can't stay with the white players. They can't stay in the dorms with them. So they're staying at some at some dumpy hotel in the slums of Havana. They don't have a restaurant there. They got to fend for themselves. They're going to all these crappy restaurants, eating crappy food. Roy Campanella speaks a little bit of Spanish, so he's trying to find them some American food where it's not so hard on their stomach. Jackie's stomach's killing him. He gets there. He had played second base in Independent League with Montreal, but you got two fantastic infielders up the middle in Pee Wee Reese, and I'm drawing a blank right now on the second baseman. Crap. But anyways, can't remember it. But so they're going to put him at first base. They need his bat in the lineup. He has to learn to play first base, and it's unsure whether he's going to start the season with the Dodgers. They break camp. They go north. They go to Brooklyn. They're playing an exhibition game at Ebbets Field 5 days before the season starts. So I'm recording this on the 10th. And so April 10th, 1947, he is playing for the Montreal Royals against the Brooklyn Dodgers in Ebbets Field in the exhibition game. And Branch Rickey announces to the world that Jackie Robinson is going to start the 1947 season with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Now the pressure's on. He realizes that he is going to be on the team. He doesn't know if he's going to start. But sure enough, on April 15th, 1947, Jackie Robinson is in the starting lineup playing first base. Now, it's not just that easy because some of the Dodger players, led by Dixie Walker, started a petition. They're going to sign it. They're going to try to keep him from playing with them. They had a lot of Southern guys on the team. They didn't feel comfortable with it, and they're going to try to keep him off the team. They don't succeed. Pee Wee Reese is one of the reasons. He refuses to sign it, kind of squashes it. And so they're just resigned to the fact. Higbee decides he was the best pitcher. I'm drawing a blank. Is it Larry Higbee? I don't have my notes because I'm in Strongsville. He was their best pitcher in 1946. He tries to play the power card, goes to Branch Rickey and said, if he's going to play on this team, I won't trade it. I want to be traded. And he's thinking that maybe he'll pick him over Jackie. He doesn't. Ships him off to the Pirates. So Jackie's there. It kind of sets a precedent. There's still guys on the team that maybe don't talk to him a lot. He has some good buddies that, not good buddies, but guys that he gets along with that are nice to him. They start playing. He's dealing with all kinds of racism. The famous one is when they go to Philadelphia to play, Ben Chapman, the manager, and he was unfortunately born in Nashville, Tennessee, but he grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. And he's going to just yell at him the whole time. It's in the movie 42. He's calling him every name under the book, telling him all kinds of gross, terrible things, talking about his wife, and he cannot talk back. And it about kills Jackie not being able to talk back. And it's so terrible that the other Dodger players, even if they weren't all in on Jackie, at that point it kind of galvanizes the team. So actually what Ben Chapman did helped the team become more of a team. He's able to play. I'm not going to go through the whole season. There was a rumored strike by the St. Louis Cardinals that they were going to strike when he came to St. Louis, that if he was playing, they weren't going to play. And that got squashed by Ford Frick, the commissioner, and said, if y'all do that, you won't ever play again. He's trying to squash it. Behind the scenes, before I end this part right here, behind the scenes, there were other things going on that I had never thought about until I read a couple books about it. But it wasn't just Jackie that was on the stage here. It was black people in general. It was black society. In Brooklyn, especially, black ministers, and anywhere Jackie went to play, African American people would show up in droves to see him play. They were so proud that he was representing them, and they lived pitch by pitch, wanting to see him succeed. They did not want him to fail. They were cheering, they were loud, they were so excited. But one thing that was a big concern was amongst people that didn't know this was the grand experiment. All these black people were going to come to the games and mix with the white people, and they were worried about race riots and things like that. You know, those bums there in Brooklyn, sometimes you didn't have to be a different color. You would fight because you're drinking too much. Somebody might say something wrong, and people start fighting. Hey, if that happens, they don't know whether it's just going to be a mass chaotic riot inside there. So on opening day there at Ebbets Field, only 26,000 people showed up. It wasn't a sellout, and 14,000 people were of color. So a lot of the white people stayed away because they were just unsure of what to expect, and honestly, they were a little scared that maybe something's going to happen. But the black ministers and the pastors were banging that pulpit saying, you guys, you have to behave yourself. You can't drink. You can't cuss. You're going to be under a microscope. People are going to look for a reason to say something bad about you, and it's going to be a reflection on us and on Jackie Robinson. So if you want him to succeed, you got to mind your P's and Q's, and you need to dress good. So they would wear their Sunday best out there. They would wear their Sunday best to the games. Jackie felt the energy. He felt the need to represent those people that loved him so much and looked up to him and held him up as a beacon. And he knew that if he didn't succeed and he didn't play well, he couldn't do anything from the bench. And so if he failed, there might not be another black guy get in the league for a while, because it was already people saying black guys can't play on this level. The white guys thought that. So Jackie had to prove them all wrong, and prove them wrong he did. He ends up winning the Rookie of the Year award that year, wins the MVP in 1949, plays all the way through 1956, where he had diabetes, he started putting on weight, and he starts losing his speed. The Brooklyn Dodgers try to trade him to the New York Giants. Rather than do that, Jackie just retires. And so, unfortunately, the toll, all that stress put on him had to play a role in the fact he died young. He had diabetes really bad. He lost most of his eyesight towards the end, and he died at only 53 years old in 1972. So Jackie is such a heroic guy. I'm about to show you a few items of mine, some signed balls. I've got a signed ball from 1947. The year he broke in there. It's got Dixie Walker on it. It's got some other players that's the only year he played. That's how they know it's a 47. In my mind, I can't help but think about what was that awesome man going through that day when he signed that ball. I mean, was it a good day? Was it people, treating him with respect that day? Had something gone down? But yet, here he is signing a baseball. He had to have a sense of pride that he was signing a Major League Baseball with a bunch of guys. He knew he belonged there, and him putting his signature on that ball just proved it. And anybody that had anything to say about it they were wrong. And his name being on that ball proves they were wrong. So I love having those items. I've got a couple of signed cards I can't wait to show you, that when I hold those, I just feel the history. I feel that man, the fact that that awesome man held those balls and those two cards in his hand is just amazing to me. So I'm about to show you those items. Thank you for hanging in with this long story. I hope you learned something. I hope you check out more, read some books about him. But thank you so much. Let's look at those cards. All right, welcome back. Here we are with my first two items. The first one I'll show you is my 1956 signed Brooklyn Dodger ball. And as you can see, Jackie's really bold right there. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, it's got all the main guys on the team. Signatures, got Pee Wee Reese right there. Let's see, we got a couple of them. Gil Hodges, Campanella, Zimmer. There's Jackie, Dale Mitchell, Sandy Koufax, such a young Sandy, Ralph Branca, Jim Gilliam, Nashvilleian. So I love having this ball because this is the last season he played, and they know that because some of the people on this ball only played in 56, so it's obvious that it is. But anyways, that's the first item. Love having that one. It's just a great baseball. This one is the one I bought before I bought any of them, and this one they put the shellac all over it. That was pretty normal for people to do back then to protect them. But you can see Jackie's autograph right there. Now this one is a 1947 rookie year ball. So this one is historic. This is the one that when I hold it in my hand, gives me kind of chill bumps, because imagining what Jackie Robinson possibly could have been going through the day he signed this baseball is so cool to me. Not that he was going through that, but just the fact that he signed it that year. It's got a lot of the main guys on here. A rookie year Duke Snyder autograph right there. Dixie Walker, who was one of the main guys, and that's how you know it's a 47, because that's the only year they played together. After that, he got shipped off to the Pirates. He was the guy, again, that people say was trying to make the uprising there in their locker room. But got all these guys. Pete Reiser right there. So anyways, really cool ball. Got Eddie Stanky and Carl Furillo on the sweet spot. So this is one I have to be real careful with. I'm not wearing gloves with these, because when you have these shellac balls, there's little small fissure cracks, and if you put material on it, it will crack it. It could pull the piece off and in turn pull the writing off with it. So I got to be real careful how I handle it. So that's why I'm handling it with my hands. So I'm going to scoot these out of the way. And the next item is this really cool Time magazine from his rookie year, September of 1947. You can see it up there. I'm not zoomed out enough. But it says Jackie Robinson, he and the boss took a chance, says sport underneath it. But anyways, it's been graded. I really wish it wasn't. I'd love to be able to flip through this and read the article. I'm going to have to pull the article up online and see what it says. But to me, that'd be very interesting. And then I have this one as well. This one is a sport magazine from 1951. It's a great image of Jackie sliding, and it's titled The Emancipation of Jackie Robinson by Milton Gross. So pretty cool. Again, this was in October. This would have been in conjunction with the World Series. So it says Wanted, a World Series victory by Bob Feller. And Grantland Rice, Jersey Joe's Miracle, So it's got different things on here, but it's got the complete 1951 college and pro football schedules as well. So that's my two magazines. Now we'll get into the baseball cards. My baseball card, I've got all of Jackie's run, and we'll start with the 1956 Topps card. And of course, this is his last card. And I've tried to curate a really nice collection of his because I respect him so much. But try to get one as centered as possible. This is a nice mid-grade card, exactly what I look for in the 50s and 60s. And I look for centering and if I can, get the corners, but also registration. So this fits all those bills. I feel great to have that one. The next one is my 1955 Topps, and it's a great card, great color on it, just pops with that yellow background. He has several yellow cards, but again, nice and centered. Got some good corners on it, and got the white background. I mean, the white back on it, but just a great. Now he has some great backs too, because it always references his color a lot of times. As he got older, it didn't, but here it doesn't. It just talks about him coming in 47. He won the MVP award by hitting 342. Helped him get to the pennant, and anyways, talks a lot about him just as a player there, and not based off his race. Here's my 1954, and again, another yellow card. His face kind of looks washed out a lot of times on these, but it's just the nature of them. Willie Mays did the same thing. I got a kick out of the back of this one, how they made him a different color. He almost looks like an alien or something, but you know, they were doing their best. It says Jack is well known as one of the baseball's top performers. He is also known as the head of the National Broadcasting Company's community activities, where he helps youngsters of all creeds. Again, doesn't mention anything, and I'm pointing this out because in a minute it will mention his color and stuff. You know, that was kind of what he was known for at that point. Here we go with the 1953 Topps. But as he went on, obviously, he showed people it wasn't just about his race. It was about him being a really good person and a good ball player. But just an absolutely gorgeous card. I love this card. I love the image on it. Great back on it. Talks about him being the Rookie of the Year again and his MVP award. But just, you know, great card. This one right here is one of my favorites. And all these are my favorites, actually. But I wanted a 52. Finding one centered without any snow on it is a really difficult proposition. And achieved it with this one with a 4.5. You know, it's off a little bit, but it's just an absolutely gorgeous card. Card 312. It was right beside card 311, which we know is Mickey Mantle. And this was a double print. So Mantle, Robinson, and Bobby Thompson were the ones that were double printed on in that last series, card 311, 312, and 313. But on here it talks about the former UCLA football star's first year in organized ball was 1946 with Montreal, where he led the International League in hitting. And so it goes on about that, but it does mention him being a football star, as we talked about earlier. All right, and then this 1952 Burke Ross. These cards are notoriously off-center, top to bottom, and out of registration. Honestly, this is one of his coolest images on a card to me, with him leaping from his second base position with his Dodger home uniform on. Just really cool. Kind of see his athletic ability right there. Not a whole lot on the back of the Burke Ross cards, but great card nonetheless, and I feel blessed to own that one. Now on to the 1950. This is one of the early ones that I bought, but I just love this batting pose. It's so classic. This is the same batting pose, only mirror image because he's right-handed, of Babe Ruth's 1933 Gaudy, card 144. So if it looks familiar to you, it was recreated in several cards and some iconic cards. So it's a great card of Jackie's. Says last season, I'm not sure what I got on the slab here. Last season was the best of all in the great career of Jackie Robinson. First Negro to enter organized baseball. He was voted National League's most valuable player, led the league in batting and stolen bases, knocked in 142 runs, and was the league's Rookie of the Year in 1947. And he played in 2 World Series. So great card there. Next one is the first of what I would consider as rookie cards, and this is the 1949 Bowman. And just a great image of a smiling Jackie. Some people don't like this card. I really do. I love the Dodger script. I love the piping around the collar and down the button strip. Again, great card. As we know now, this is a 49 release, obviously. And the next card I'm going to show you is also a 49 release. It's been listed as a 48 for years, but it's not. And I'll show you some evidence of that here in just a second. Talks about him signing with Montreal contract, came the first Negro to enter the ranks of pro ball, and talks about what he did in Montreal, leading the league and all that other stuff. So great card. Put this one here. The next one I'm going to show you is the Leaf card. And this, I'm so proud of this card. I searched for a while to find one that wasn't washed out, that had good registration. And what was really important to me was that the yellow popped on it. And I achieved that with this card. If it weren't for that corner up here, there's no telling what this grade would be, but that's the soft corner on this card. Of course, it's got a 4.5, but just a fantastic card. Now, for years, they called this 48 Leafs, which is impossible. When you look at down here, it's copyright 1949. And we also know from the book Relief, he uncovered evidence of things that proved this was released in early spring of 1949. And so this one talks about first Negro player in modern organized baseball, made debut in 1947 as a first baseman, and talks about how he won the Rookie of the Year. So great card. Love this card. But again, I consider both of these his rookie card. They're both 49s. So some people would argue with me, but they'd be wrong. I'm just joking. Well, actually, I'm not. The next one is the pre-rookie card. So this is what is basically Michael Jordan's star card. I've talked about that several times, and is the Bond Bread issue with the clip corners. They have the off-white cream back on them. There's some exhibit cards that have the same image, but this is the one that we know was issued in 1947. There's the Jackie Robinson Bond Bread set of 13 that some aren't issued in 47. There is one, and it's the portrait with the facsimile signature on it. And we know that one was in 47. But it also, those have the Bond Bread advertisement. I do not have one of those. But I love these cards. This is his actual rookie, even more so than the cards issued in 1949. And then I have another one. This was the first one I picked up. It was authentic. I saw this one at a really nice price and thought I'd pick up a second one. Now, I don't usually do that. I don't usually care about doubles, but I love that. I'm going to take this one to Strongsville with me and see if somebody worthy would want to buy it. So the next one, these are my biggies. So here's my signed 1955 Topps Jackie Robinson. You can see the indentation in the card and where he pressed down. The ink is kind of faded. I don't know whether somebody left it in the sunlight or what, but these 1955s are notorious for the signature fading. I see more of them fading than not. I believe this is a Pop 16 with a signature on it. So it's a very scarce card with the amount of Jackie Robinsons that have been graded. I feel very blessed to have one in my collection. And then the last one is my new one. And man, I love this card. And look at that signature. It looks like it was signed yesterday. And how it's indented in the card where he put the pen pressure on it. And if you turn a certain way, it just makes it kind of shine. But in reality, that ink is bright, bright blue. And it's amazing. So, you know, it got an 8 on the autograph because the J went off the end right there, and it kind of left the the paper for a second, but it doesn't matter to me. I could care less. I'm all about the looks of this. And again, I think this one is a Pop 16 as well with a signature. And you're not going to find a better signature on any 54 than that. You might find one just as good, but I doubt it. But having best wishes on there too, I really like that. So it's kind of double signed in his handwriting. So that, my friends, is my Jackie Robinson collection. I'm so glad I got to share it with you. I'll be right back. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. I had recorded the part. We got something flying off the ceiling on me. I had recorded the part about showing the cards in the ball before I left home. I actually had recorded my first monologue, and I just wasn't happy with it. And honestly, this video was so important to me because of what Jackie Robinson stood for, and I just wanted to do him justice. And after watching what I recorded last night at home, I wasn't happy with it. I'd left some major parts out and wanted to do it right. So even though I'm in a hotel room, that's what I did. I'm going to do a new video. I'm just going to splice these together with a show and tell time, and hope you enjoyed it. Reach out to me if you got any questions. Share with me any kind of Jackie Robinson ideas or things you've read or stories about him that inspire you. Share that with me in the comments. And again, thank you so much for watching my stuff. I love the support that I get from the YouTube community. Appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.